So I want to say thank you to you also for using your platform for positivity. My name is Bayonle Arashi. I simply want to call myself a student of leadership, but I do leadership coaching. I'm a leadership coach. I'm a soccer coach. I'm a life coach. Um, I'm a father. I'm a son, and hopefully I'll be a husband again soon. I can be found on all social media platforms at Bayonle Arashi, Bayonlearashi together. I'm on all platforms. TikTok. I was just mentioning to someone earlier that if you really want to hit your target audience, you have to go find them where they are. I recently started using TikTok more because it is being used by over a billion people under the age of 21. So they are there. You need to find them there. So follow me on TikTok. I'm discussing topics that will help you. I'm sharing value, and I really hope whatever you find there is valuable to you. On Instagram, Facebook as well, Twitter, now X, the same Bayonle Arashi. In April last year, I founded a soccer non-profit project, which is also as a way of reaching out to young people, because also you have to use what you have to reach out to your people. I'm a soccer coach. I've been in soccer all my life, since 1999 to be precise. So about 25 years now that I've been in that industry. But it's a non-profit project. We are hoping to use soccer as a tool to mentor young boys, young children, but with the focus on boys more, and at-risk youth using soccer and vocational education to inspire them to find their true purpose in life. It's less than a year. We have made some progress. We have almost 40 students right now that we have impacted. Half of those kids, they don't have their dad in their life. So we are very happy to be that first, the father figure they see, and that mentor they see first, and that they can always come to. That is my current work. I still work with the Texas Department of Criminal Justice as a correctional officer in my sixth year right now. My background was in broadcasting, soccer to be precise. I have covered two major industries in my life: broadcasting and now criminal justice. So that's a little bit about me. I'm sure we're going to share more along the line.
First and foremost, welcome back and thank you for that introduction. One thing that you mentioned that I wanted to focus on and highlight in the beginning of this is you mentioned that meeting people where they are. And I think many times that's what we want to do, especially if we're going to speak to people about the absence of fathers there. Growing up as a child, sports was a big part of my life, especially considering that I grew up without my mother and my father, and I would
Hmm.
look to the coaches as a father figure, the male coaches, and I looked towards my teammates as my fellow brothers in arms. And it was like a family in that locker room setting. It was a family on the court. It was a family on the field. So speak to us about when you say that you're looking to meet people where they are, what does that mean to you?
You just confirmed part of what that is by sharing what your adolescent age was involved with, which is sports. Um, the last time you and I discussed, which is almost over a year now, or about a year, that we had our first conversation, what one of my target then was to go to schools and talk to the school leadership on talking to the young kids, letting them understand the importance of um, finding a purpose very early on in life. I did that for a couple of times, but many schools that I wrote to never got back to me. But I started looking further inward. I don't know, but for me, I just feel it's a calling. I just started looking more inward, like how else can I reach these people, these folks that I know need something. They're looking for someone. All you have to do is to look at social media, look at the popular social media pages, and look at the things that attract these people, and look at how much of mental degeneration that they are going through. You can see from what they type, from how they comment, from the things they do. So I started thinking. So I went to the convention. I'm a member of United Soccer Coaches Convention. It's the biggest soccer organization in the United States. I went to the convention last year. It was held in Philadelphia, and that was when I actually had a moment of epiphany. Like, you have been in soccer all your life. You have always look to help people. You have a soccer project in your home country, Nigeria. What stops you from doing the same here? And for me, that was a big moment. So coming back to Houston a few weeks after, I went on to register the soccer academy. I've actually registered it ahead of our last meeting, but I did not do anything about it. So I said we have to start. So on April the 1st, we decided to launch out and start sharing our vision. And a couple of people that heard about it were like, yes, we need this. Because just take a look at the statistics, look at what an average 13-year-old does after school. Literally nothing. What they do is they sit on their game or behind their TV and just play away, just be in that world, which is what I call it. And it does not bring anything positive to them. You can only do that for so long. As a child growing up, you need a mixture of everything. It does not mean that you can't give them some chance to socialize with games, but they have to do real life. They need mentoring, and that is what inspired that quote that I said earlier, that you have to meet the kids where they are by starting something that will attract them. So we have a couple of teenagers right now that comes and they exhaust themselves twice a week that we train for now. And the vision is very big. The vision is big. The image behind me, I hope people can be able to see this. That's the vision right there. That's what we hope to build in the nearest future. We're going to have our own facility where we're going to have teenagers ages 13, and then they're going to come into the academy, 120 boys. Hopefully, that's our plan. We're going to be in there for 5 years, being poured into poured into them physically, spiritually, mentally, and of course, developing a skill set. So when you're coming out of that soccer academy after 5 years, by the time you're going to turn 18 or after your 18th birthday, you're either going to become a professional soccer player, or you are going to college to further your education, or you are coming out with a license that says you have this vocation that you are going to use to add value to the society. That's what Midas Football Academy aims to do. And we're going to do that for as long as I have strength to continue to work. So that's the vision. And that's why we are meeting them where they are.
I think that's a fantastic bridge from the education system that many youth go through. And you have a bridge from when the school ends to when they fall asleep, or maybe towards the night, because that's the best part. Because I think one thing that happens, at least from my experience in my childhood, was school would end at 4 p.m. and from 4 p.m. to about 8, idle time. And there's that beautiful saying, right? Idle hands is the devil's playground, the workshop, right? So for
Absolutely.
you, you're making a conscious effort to say, hey, I want to meet you where you are. I want to give you resources to prevent you from either considering going down another avenue that may be detrimental to you in the
Absolutely.
present and detrimental to you into the future. So when you're getting these young adults, especially the men or the young boys, sorry, especially them who are without fathers or without that presence of a father figure around them on a consistent basis. How does that feel for you that you're stepping into that role for so many of our future young men?
That's a very deep and at the same time excellent question. I feel it's a calling because every time I try to vie away from it, because sometimes I will tell you now, because I just feel for us men too, it's okay for us to be vulnerable, but this is actually one of the most difficult things for men to do. We don't want to do that. I don't want to do it many, many times. Many times I cry, but I don't want to cry in the presence of people that will say, why is he crying now? Because some people don't think men should cry. But to answer your question, for me, I feel such a strong conviction that I did not have some of these things growing up. And one of the things that developed the conviction in me is the fact that even though my dad was present, but I left home at a very, very early age. I left home when I was 19 years old. Apparently, you will say maybe I have enough, but I had to leave. Why did I leave home? I shared that story the other time on the podcast, my dad was living a life that I was looking like, this is not how I want to live. This is not how I want to live. My dad was a polygamist, so to say. I see a couple of wives after my mom, and I saw the competition between my mom and those women. When I said women, not so it means they were not. It was not one of them. One will come, spend a couple of 1 or 2 years. I say, I can't deal with this man's nonsense, and she will leave. And another one will come, and I saw this for a couple of years, and I just told myself, no, I am not going to do this. And that was what made me to say, you know what, I'm going to get out of this place. And when I was living that time, because at 19, what do you know? And I'm saying this to a lot of people. You probably think you know a lot, but you don't know nothing at the age of 19. You don't know the world that is waiting for you out there. But for me, what saved me was those little support and education and discipline that I got in those 19 years that I stayed with my parents. So when I branched out, I continued on that path. And I've said this before, books helped save my life. I will always say it. I read books, and I think I also use that word more now. I also filter my mind. Whatever I think is not right, I don't do. Whatever I think I shouldn't go, I don't go. So I did growing up and seeing how through the inspiration of God, because if I said it was me, I would be a liar. Through books that I was mentored by, through me meeting Christ at the age of 28, which I think was the biggest change of all for me, I decided to say there are many men, many boys like me out there that are in the same place I was, and they need help. How do I reach out to these guys? Because it's a different thing for you to reach out, and it's another thing for them to be willing to accept your hand of gesture. Like, okay, what is he telling us? So, how to reach out and the continuous development on my path to be able to help these young men is what made me to continue doing this. And as part of what we plan to do with my nonprofit, yes, we're going to have 120 boys at the academy. But I mean, out of millions of them out there, 120 of them is not just enough. So I know some people might want to ask. So we go beyond that. We have two programs also. We call one Rising Stars. Rising Stars is basically a mentoring program, which is going to be monthly. So from January to December of every year, we're going to have 12 Rising Stars sessions. And what that entails is we're going to have a group of young men. If you're ages 13 and 18, you play sport, or you are a young man or a young woman, and you are looking for mentoring, you are looking for resource, we're going to offer you the opportunity to, we're going to be in a hall, all of us together. Bring a resource person. It could be me, it could be you, it could be someone doing something positive in their life, to come and share what it means to be an adult with you. For you to understand that life does not happen on a fast lane. For you to understand that there is a time to plant and there's a time to reap, that you cannot be born today and tomorrow you start crawling or walking, that everything is a process, that you're not a failure, that because your father is not in your life does not mean you cannot make it. So this is going to be one of our outreach programs. So we're going to be doing that as part of our development. The second one is Crossing Bridges, and that happens to be the name of my podcast before. Crossing Bridges is our second outreach program, which is going to be by month, every other month, every 3 months. That means we're going to have four of it in a year. And this one means we're going to go to underserved environment. There are many of them in Houston. There are many of them in state of Texas. We're going to go to that environment. We're going to organize a day tournament. We're going to ask moms that are raising young boys, single moms, single parents, come out, bring the kids out. Come and let them hear from us. Bring them to an atmosphere of event and tournament. They're going to play soccer. We're still going to give them soccer balls. And at the end of the day, we hope to appreciate the moms, the dads for doing the job they are doing. So we are hoping that through these two outreach programs, we can reach hundreds, thousands, and hopefully millions in the nearest future.
The outreach programs here in Canada, I remember using some of them. We used to call this place called, we used to call it the community center, and we used to play basketball there. We played indoor soccer, we played dodgeball, we played a number of beautiful, beautiful sports. And one thing that I always loved is that you had people around you cheering you on, even though some of them probably didn't even remember your name. But the emotions and the family atmosphere surrounding those young men and women was something that would always be a part of my memory, and it was absolutely fantastic. And as I look back on on my journey, when you were saying that, I remember the impact that some of these outreach programs had. And you would bring people together from all over the city for a common cause. And it was like you were building a community within a community. I remember
Absolutely.
6 p.m., you knew you had a soccer practice or baseball practice. By 5 p.m., you're so excited. Like,
To
okay, you're
go.
getting ready to go, right? Because you knew that coach was going to
It's
be
gonna be
there,
there.
and the level of respect that you had for that person and the conversation was something that I think in a way is kind of missing today, where mentorship used to be something that you can find almost anywhere. You found it at your job, you found it at your church, your mosque, your synagogue, you found it
Around
in
you.
your neighborhood, right? Especially your neighborhood, because growing up, I remember the neighborhood, the staples of the neighborhood was always the community center where you had mentors working there and some type of religious atmosphere. It could have been
Yeah.
church, it could have been a mosque, whatever the case is. Now, as the cities get bigger, and now as we start to live further and further away from the heart of some of these things, you see sometimes kids getting lost. And the parents, for the most part, are trying their best to do what they can, but they're working longer hours, they're working longer days. And maybe there's times where they can't give what they know they're supposed to give, but they're giving just a bare minimum in and hoping that their children will be okay.
Hmm.
When you see these children come to you and the children that you work with, and they leave with such a fantastic feeling afterwards. But then sometimes there's always maybe that one child, that few children that they don't necessarily want to leave because they know that once they step through those doors, it's
Going back
back
to
to
the life.
reality. How do you deal with that?
That's that's a very tough question. And yes, we have a couple of them, and it's. I was just talking to someone I care about a lot about few months ago before I coming on this show, that I said, sometimes when I go dark, it's not because I don't love you, right? And she said, yeah, I know. I said, it's because I just think about this the amount of people, and that is just in the present, that depends on me, that depends on my smile, that depends on that depends on when they see you, they believe, yes, today's going to be a good day. And sometimes, like you just said again about parents being tired, I'm not just there because I'm human, right? But I also know that no matter how tired I am, some people are always dependent on me. So, how do I handle such a situation as you mentioned now? It's by continuing to go, by continuing to ask for strength from the Creator. Like, God, keep giving me strength. By continuing to do the bare minimum that you can every day, and knowing that at the end of this race, it is not the amount of vehicle that I have. It is not the amount of houses that I built. It is not the amount of friends that I make. It is the amount of people that can remember me. I will say, "Oh, Coach Bayer did this for me." For me, I think that's the most important thing that I want anyone to remember me for, because I still go back to what I said again. The people that mentored me,